Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into something truly devastating, an event that's really shaken people across the globe. We're talking about the Ahmedabad Air India Flight 171 disaster. Our aim here is to, well, carefully unpack what we know so far. Look at the facts, the immediate aftermath, some of the early investigation findings, and sort of the bigger picture implications.
Yeah, and this one, it's particularly striking. You've got a modern aircraft, a Dreamliner, and these frankly, very unusual circumstances. It's more than just a tragic event. It really gives us a unique window into, the complexities of aviation safety today, how investigations work, how response systems cope. We'll try to cut through some of the noise and offer some clarity on what's unfolded.
Okay, so let's paint the picture. June 12, 2025. It's about, 1:38 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Air India Flight AI-171, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, is wheels up from Ahmedabad heading for London Gatwick. Pretty standard stuff, you'd think. But almost immediately, things went horribly wrong. Just seconds after takeoff, the plane visibly struggled. We know there was a mayday call. And then the unthinkable. It crashed right into the BJ Medical College Doctors Hostel in Magani Nagar, just erupted into this massive fireball. It's hard to even visualize.
And the human cost, it's staggering. 241 people out of the 242 on board died. That includes 230 passengers and all 12 crew members, the pilots included. There was one survivor, miraculously, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, a British passenger, apparently in seat 11A. How someone survives that, it's almost unbelievable. But the tragedy extends beyond the plane itself. Because it hit that hostel during lunchtime, 5 medical students on the ground were killed, many others injured as the plane tore through the building.
You just have to pause there, don't you? An advanced plane, a Dreamliner, struggling seconds after leaving the ground. What goes through your mind as an expert hearing that sequence? What are the immediate chilling thoughts?
Well, the first thing is, how? How does a modern jet like that fail so quickly? They have so many backup systems. You immediately think, what could possibly cause such a rapid, catastrophic failure right after takeoff? It goes against everything the design philosophy stands for.
Right. And after that initial shock, the focus turns to the response. We mentioned the human toll, and sadly, among the passengers was the former Chief Minister of Gujarat, Vijay Rupani. A significant loss. The scene on the ground sounds like absolute chaos. Reports of residents climbing out of windows of the hostel building to escape the fire.
It does, but what's also quite remarkable, really, is how quickly and broadly the emergency services mobilized. You had the CISF, that's the Central Industrial Security Force, the CRPF, the National Disaster Response Force, the NDRF, the Border Security Force, the Indian Army, local firefighters, civil defense, just a massive coordinated effort. And Air India, now under the Tata Group, they acted fast too. Set up an emergency center, pledged full support, compensation, 1 crore for victims' families, covering medical costs. It shows a certain level of preparedness.
That kind of multi-agency response, it sounds. Almost like a military operation for a civilian disaster. Does that suggest maybe a step up in India's disaster readiness?
I think it's probably a bit of both. The sheer scale demanded it, absolutely. But the fact they could coordinate across so many different groups so quickly, yeah, it does suggest that maybe the underlying frameworks are stronger or were tested to their absolute limit and, held up in that initial phase.
Okay, so the immediate crisis is being managed. But the big question hanging over everything is why? Why did this happen? And crucially, we know the black box, the flight data recorder, was recovered pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's vital. The investigation proper involves India's DGCA, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, they're leading it, but also Boeing, naturally, as the manufacturer. And international bodies, too, like the NTSB from the US and the UK's AAIB, they all bring specific expertise. Now, here's where it gets really significant. The preliminary data. It shows the ram air turbine deployed just seconds before impact.
Okay, the ram air turbine, the RAT. For people listening, what exactly is that, and why is its deployment such a big deal here?
Right. So the RAT, think of it as a small emergency generator, like a little propeller that drops out from the plane's body. Its only job is to provide essential power, like for basic flight controls if, and only if, both main engines fail and the auxiliary power unit fails too. It's the last resort for power. Its deployment strongly suggests, points very heavily towards a complete loss of power from the main engines.
A complete loss. So dual engine failure.
That's what it strongly implies.
And you hear descriptions like extremely rare for that kind of event on a modern jet like the 787.
Extremely rare is almost an understatement. These planes are designed specifically to prevent that. Multiple fuel lines, independent systems, everything is built around redundancy. So for the RAT to deploy, it means something went profoundly wrong, bypassing all those safety layers. That's why this preliminary finding is so central to the investigation. It's pointing towards something quite extraordinary.
It really makes you think about the immense task facing the investigators now, digging into something that by design really shouldn't happen. And of course, an event like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. The reactions were immediate and global. Prime Minister Modi, leaders around the world, Bollywood figures, widespread expressions of sorrow, prayers for the families.
Yes, and alongside the grief, you saw political reactions pretty quickly, too. Figures like Akhilesh Yadav calling for, quote, immediate clarification, a demand for answers, for transparency, which is understandable. And inevitably, perhaps, it sparked renewed scrutiny of Boeing. Questions about management, technical oversight, even before the specific cause is known. It reflects a broader trend, I think. After other recent incidents, there's just intense pressure on manufacturers regarding safety and quality control.
That's a really interesting point. Does an incident like this potential extreme rarity, make you question the balance we strike between pushing aviation technology forward and, well, ensuring that absolute safety baseline? How do we navigate that?
It's a constant tension, isn't it? You innovate, you push for efficiency, lighter designs, better performance, but safety cannot be compromised. An event like this, especially if it is something as rare as dual engine failure, forces a hard look at assumptions. Are the models still correct? Are the manufacturing processes robust enough? Are the oversight mechanisms truly effective? It reminds us that safety isn't a destination you reach. It's a process of constant vigilance.
So, wrapping up this deep dive for today, the key takeaways are stark. This is the first fatal crash involving a Boeing 787, and it's undeniably one of India's worst aviation disasters in many years. The investigation is just paramount now.
Absolutely. The core questions remain. What could lead to that apparent dual-engine failure so soon after takeoff? And how did the crash sequence result in hitting a populated building like that? Getting answers to those isn't just about this tragedy. It will likely influence aviation safety practices globally.
Well, thank you for joining us as we've explored this complex and deeply upsetting event. Understanding these moments, however difficult, feels important.
And perhaps it leaves us with this thought. In an age where we aim for near-perfect technological reliability, what does an event this rare, this unexpected, a potential dual engine failure on a cutting-edge jet really teach us? Maybe it teaches us about the limits of our engineering, perhaps, but also about the relentless need to keep pushing those boundaries of safety, because the unexpected can and sometimes does happen.